بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم الحمد للہ رب العالمین والصلاة والسلام علی رسولہ الکریم وعلی آلہ وصحبہ اجمعین ومن تبعہم بإحسان إلی یوم الدین اما بعد فإن اللہ سبحانہ وتعالی یقول فی کتابہ العزیز والفرقان الحمید فاعوذ باللہ السمیع العلیم من الشیطان الرجیم کنتم خیر امۃ اخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله صدق الله العظيم. وعن النبي صلى الله تعالى عليه وصحبه وسلم أنه قال خير الناس من ينفع الناس أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وازواجہ وذریاتہ وآل بیتہ وبارک وسلم تسلیما کثیرا کثیرا. ناظرین اکرام، میں قاسم رشید احمد آپ کی خدمت میں حاضر ہوں آج کا یہ پروگرام لے کر کے. نارملی میرا جو پروگرام ہوتا ہے وہ شام میں رات کو 9 بجے سے لے کر کے 11 بجے تک ہوتا ہے، لیکن آج ہمارے ساتھ کچھ گیسٹ ہیں جن کی وجہ سے ہم یہ پروگرام ذرا ارلی کر رہے ہیں. اس پروگرام کی خصوصیت یہ ہے کہ اس وقت دنیا میں جو میڈیکل کے حوالے سے بعض بڑے چیلنجز کا ہمیں سامنا ہے، اس کے بارے میں تھوڑی سی ڈسکشن ہو، اس کی پہچان ہو، اس کی شناخت ہو. اس میں آپ کو، ہمیں اور مسلمانوں کو اور تمام انسانیت کو ایک بہت بڑا کردار عطا کرنا ہے. آفٹر آل ہم جو امت محمدی صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم اپنے آپ کو سب سے بہترین امت سمجھتے ہیں، وہ اس لیے نہیں ہے کہ ہم نماز پڑھتے ہیں یا یہ کہ ہم روزہ رکھتے ہیں یا ہم زکوٰۃ دیتے ہیں یا ہم حج کرتے ہیں، بلکہ اس لیے ہے اخرجت للناس کہ تم یہ امت جو ہے لوگوں کو فائدہ پہنچانے کے لیے بھیجی گئی ہے. اخرجت للمسلمین نہیں کہا، اخرجت للمؤمنین نہیں کہا یہ کہ مسلمانوں کو یا مؤمنین کو، بلکہ للناس، سب کو فائدہ پہنچانے کے لیے. تو اگر ہم دوسروں کو فائدہ پہنچانے کی کوشش کرتے ہیں تو پھر ہم اس بات کا مصداق ہیں، یہ ٹائٹل ہم کر سکتے ہیں کہ ہاں ہم سب سے بہترین امت ہیں. اور اگر ہم صرف اپنی ذاتی عبادات کے اوپر زور دیتے ہیں، دوسروں کو فائدہ پہنچانے کا اتنا وہ نہیں ہے، تو پھر ہم ایک سیلفش قوم ہیں اور سب سے بہترین امتی کہلانے کا ہمیں حق نہیں بنتا. خود رسول اکرم صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم کی حدیث جو میں نے آپ کے سامنے بیان کی کہ تم میں سے سب سے بہترین وہ ہے جو دوسروں کو فائدہ پہنچائے، جو لوگوں کو فائدہ پہنچائے. اگین کوئی اسلام یا مذہب کی کوئی کیٹیگری اس میں نہیں بیان کی، کوئی پریکٹسنگ مسلم یا نان پریکٹسنگ وہ بیان نہیں کیا، بلکہ جنرک کہ جو لوگوں کو فائدہ پہنچائے. تو لوگوں کو فائدہ پہنچانے کے مختلف طریقے ہیں. امر بالمعروف، بھلائی کا حکم کرنا، نہی عن المنکر، برائی سے روکنا، وہ اس کی ایک قسم ہے. اب امر بالمعروف اور نہی عن المنکر، اس کو ہم لوگوں نے بہت ہی تنگ نظری سے بالکل کلوز شاپ کی طرح سمجھ لیا کہ اگر آپ کسی کو جا کر کے یہ کہتے ہیں کہ بھئی آپ دین پر چلو، اسلام پر چلو، یہ وہ، تو یہ امر بالمعروف ہوا. کسی کو اگر جو ہے خدا کی نافرمانی سے آپ روکتے ہیں تو وہ نہی عن المنکر ہوا. حالانکہ یہ دونوں کیٹیگریز اتنی بڑی ہیں، اتنی واسٹ ہیں، اس کا ہورائزن اتنا بڑا ہے کہ اس کی اگر ہم گہرائی میں جائیں تو ہم حیران رہ جائیں گے. کسی کو جو ہے اس کی صحت کے بارے میں اپنا خیال رکھنے کے اوپر آمادہ کرنا، یہ امر بالمعروف ہے. اس کو جو ہے بیماری سے دور رہنے پر جو ہے آمادہ کرنا، یا اس کی اطلاع کرنا یا وہ بتانا اس کو کہ بھئی یہ بیماری ہے، یہ خطرہ ہے، اس سے دور رہو، یہ کرو، یہ نہی عن المنکر ہے. تو اس کی کافی زیادہ قسمیں ہیں. تو اس آیت کو سامنے رکھتے ہوئے میں چاہتا ہوں کہ آج کے اس پروگرام کو آپ سمجھیں. ہماری جو آج ڈسکشن ہوگی وہ مینلی جو ہیلتھ ایشوز ہیں اس کے متعلق، اس میں بھی ان پرٹیکولر جو پولیو کا مسئلہ ہے جو کہ دنیا میں 1980s کے ٹائم پر کافی ہائی لیول پہ تھا. جتنے کیسز اس وقت دنیا میں ایک دن کے اندر ہوتے تھے پولیو کے، اتنے اب اس سے بھی کم بلکہ 1 سال میں ہوتے ہیں. اس کو بھی ہم نے ختم کرنے کی کوشش کرنی ہے. اس میں بھی ان پرٹیکولر ہماری ڈسکشن رہے گی پاکستان کے حوالے سے، थोड़ा बहुत अफ़गानिस्तान और कुछ हम नाइजीरिया को टच करेंगे। इस प्रोग्राम में साथ देने के लिए मेरे साथ जो है माशाल्लाह मौजूद हैं कुछ टीम मेंबर्स। सबसे पहले मैं अपने राइट साइड से शुरू करूँगा, जिसमें ब्रदर सईफ़ अहमद हैं जो कि इस्लामिक हेल्प के CEO हैं। अस्सलाम वालेकुम रहमतुल्लाह। तो ब्रदर सईफ़ माशाल्लाह यू विल असिस्ट me, inshallah, to take this program forward. That's why you are sitting next to me.
Thank you.
You are co-pilot of the program. So any mistake I do, you are responsible for it.
And my mistake will be your responsibility.
No. Imam cannot be responsible for public mistake.
Okay.
Inshallah. The next person I have, mashallah, is Dr. Naveed from World Health Organization. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Naveed. Welcome on IQRA TV, and pleasure to have you here today. After that, another friend of ours, Dr. Anand, should I call, and Mr. Anand we met in past, and pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
It was pleasure to receive you at Al Khair office.
Thank you.
And looking forward to interesting, informative program.
Thank you.
And I will try to keep my limits on my jokes with both of yourselves until you familiarize with it.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you.
Good to be here.
Pleasure. And then next person after that, we have Mr. Swift, who is very speedy, very fast. But when it comes to our situation, he is very slow. He's just Swift by the name, but we want him to be Swift in reality. Mr. Richard Swift, welcome.
Thank you.
On IQRA TV.
Thank you.
In fact, Richard Swift has been involved with IQRA TV since 2009. By mistake, he came as a guest for appearance in one of the program, and since then he's stuck with IQRA TV. So if Richard coming as a guest in one of the business related program, and since 6 years he is stuck, so both of you are also our guest today.
Hopefully get stuck.
Hopefully by end of this program you will be part of the team, inshallah. Anyway, Dr. Naveed, when it comes to polio situation, I think you are the #1 person in the world who have the vast and the most experience in tackling the issue, in dealing and even eradicating from many countries. Of course, you are not that old, that you've been working since 1970s and so on, but certainly for past at least a decade or two, you've been working on this program. Can you introduce to us what is polio?
Thank you very much. Well, let me just thanks for your kind words, but we've got a strong team, not only at the headquarter levels, but with partners, and then that goes down to our regional offices and the partners' regional offices and to the country team. So the real heroes for polio eradication is the person who goes from house to house and delivers vaccine, and they are the heroes. Only heroes in polio program which we recognize as heroes. Polio is a viral disease. It's poliomyelitis. It's been there since time immemorial. We even found the images of polio-stricken people in the images when they were discovered in Egypt. So we are looking at a disease which has been documented for the past thousands of years. Mm-hmm. So this is a menace that the world decided to get eradicated. Now polio has 3 types. It's 3 strains, and this virus paralyzes children primarily because the way polio is spread is through what we call orophycal route. So anything contaminated is taken in the mouth, and then in the gut, the virus replicates and it enters the nervous system, and it can paralyze the child. Now, nature has provided a certain defense mechanism, which is that for every child that is paralyzed, you have 200 children around that which may not have the signs of paralysis, but they are infecting the other children. They're spreading the virus. So we are looking at a very virulent organism here. Mm-hmm. An organism which, if this particular defense was not provided by nature, would have rendered a very large proportion of the population of the world paralyzed. But since a long time, we now have very effective vaccine against it. The only way to tackle polio is to prevent it. There is no cure for it. It's a viral disease which has no cure. It's a disease, once it affects somebody, afflicts somebody, it would damage the nerves, whichever
for
area
the rest of life.
For the rest of life. And that is why paralysis sets in. So it is a burden for that person, but obviously a burden at the end for the family and the communities. And we are looking at huge numbers. For example, in 1988, when the world came together, all the health ministers of the world came together and said that we have to tackle this menace and we have to eradicate this disease, because this virus can only grow in the human gut. It doesn't have a secondary host. Like malaria, as you know, is secondary host, a mosquito. So it's not easy to eradicate. So it's eradicable. But at that time, the estimates were that there were about 1,000 cases happening every day, and globally 350,000 cases. Now, last year, there were 358 cases, which is still too many for us because it's a disease which needs to be eradicated. One case is a global emergency. It's a health emergency. And this is a global emergency polio program itself. So we are looking at something which is doable, which is looking at something which has already been achieved in 4 WHO regions out of the 6 regions. The only 2 regions where at the moment we do not have the certification or the eradication is the region which we call AFRO, which is the African region, and the Eastern Mediterranean region, where we have 2 endemic countries. So we have 3 countries left out of 125 when we started in 1988. So you can see the scale of improvement. At the same time, we are very close. We've done more than 99.9% work, but this 1.1% has to be done, otherwise there is no eradication. And if you do not eradicate, you cannot go on forever to have this funding for doing these campaigns, which at the moment is keeping it at that small level, low level of circulation. So we have made major progresses. We have 3 countries left. And again, all these, not the entire countries are infected, there's pockets in these countries which have the reservoirs, which act as reservoirs, where we have difficulties, many, because of which those areas still have sustained the indigenous polio virus, or the virus circulates in the communities there. So I'll stop here and then we can maybe discuss as we go on.
That's fine. Anand, what other symptoms have been there that WHO or any World Health Organization in any country, they have managed to eradicate so far in the history?
Yeah. The global community has tried very hard to protect children, to protect parents from various diseases. Eradication is a very special enterprise in the world of public health. Eradication is almost like what they would call a very high-risk investment.
Yes.
If you succeed, the result is for entire future generation, all the children will never know what is polio. So people have tried to eradicate a disease many times. They have only succeeded once thus far, and that is smallpox. The smallpox has been eradicated from the world.
Smallpox is different to chickenpox.
Yes, smallpox has very high mortality rate and creates scars, and majority of the people will die from smallpox. So once we got the vaccine for smallpox and got it perfected and effective, we were able to eradicate smallpox from all over the world. The last case was in Somalia.
And when was that?
And that was in the late 70s. Yeah, it was 77, 78. And then in around 1980, 81, the entire planet was clear of smallpox. That is the same thing we are trying with polio now. As Dr. Naveed said, when we started, There were 125 countries and 1,000 children every single day being paralyzed for life. Imagine the impact on the families, on the community, on society. 1,000 children paralyzed. And now, last year, less than one child per day. It is still too much for us. Our goal is 0. The eradication goal is target 0. That is our target. It's very high risk because we have to make sure children all over the world under the age of 5 are given these polio vaccines. It's 2 drops. We have to give it consistently over a few times. But it's very simple. It's not an injection. It's 2 drops. But we have to reach more than 95% of the children who are under the age of 5 all over the world. Now, almost every country has succeeded. I mean, that itself is truly historic. There are so many countries where they have successfyou stopped polio.
Over 140 countries.
Yes, yes. And now only 3 countries are left. Like you had mentioned, parts of Pakistan, parts of Afghanistan, and small parts of Nigeria. All the rest of the countries have stopped. Now, even when I talk to my own relatives who are much younger, children, they have never seen a polio case. They have no idea what is polio. We have to show them in picture.
Yes.
That is the result we want. We want children growing now to never know what was polio, to never know what was smallpox.
Ideally, it should be mentioned in history books.
In fact, that is our goal.
Yes.
We reach target 0, and then the only time people will see polio is in the dictionary or the history book. That's it. That is our goal, and that's a very ambitious goal to do it all over the world. But it is doable, and we as communities can come together across religions, across countries, across race, to do something unique that we can give for all future generations. I can't think of a better gift we can deliver and something that will last for entire future of all humanity. Children never knowing what this disease is. So it is a gift that we want to deliver. And for that, we are facing some final challenges, and for that, we all need to come together as one community going after this one particular virus. We are fighting battles in so many fronts. We should be jointly fighting a battle to provide something good for humanity. That is a battle worth fighting for together.
Dr. Naveed, in last, let's say, 5 or 10 years, which countries came 0?
It's important. I think there were 2 countries which I would like to really mention, where we had lots of challenges, big countries, and challenges of their own. Egypt was one, which I think did a tremendous job of getting rid of polio. It's a large country. Again, populations are spread out, and they had their challenges. They succeeded. They came together as a country, as communities, as a government, fully backing up, did a super job and got rid of polio. But the most challenging and the most important for the entire global program was India, because India was the largest reservoir of polio viruses. And India, with all its tremendous amount of challenges and a big population.
I heard and read somewhere that India had almost 35% of world cases.
Could be very correct. These are all estimates which could be very correct, because India had the largest burden of this disease, and they eradicated it. In 2010, we had the last case, and by 2014, that entire region, which includes India, the WHO region, was certified polio-free. That's a major historic achievement for the program. Now only 3 countries are left. And again, in these 3 countries, pockets are left. So we're not looking at huge spreads even in these countries. Nigeria has not reported a polio case for the past 6 months. That's a tremendous achievement. Africa has not reported a case in the past 6 months. We are looking at tremendous achievement, but at the same time, we need to now really come together, all of us. That means anywhere and everyone, anywhere and getting together to support the remaining countries in their effort to get rid of the remaining reservoirs, so that the world receives the gift that you just mentioned. This would be a gift for the generations to come, for the humanity.
And Dr. Anand, how it was eradicated in India, I believe it was one of the largest operations in the history.
Yes. Just to give you an example what it takes to eradicate a disease, India had 172 million children under the age of 5. 172 million children under the age of 5. That is more than so many parts of European countries all put together.
Yeah.
You won't even reach 172 million.
Almost 3 times more population than UK.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a huge population of under 5 children. And they were growing in some parts of India at a very high birth rate as well. So the goal is to vaccinate all these 172 million children over a period of 5 days. And this happened not once or twice per year. This happened 9 to 10 times per year. So the Indian government at various levels, along with civil society organizations, community-based, faith-based organizations, along with WHO, UNICEF, then there were other organizations like Rotary, all joining together to support the effort to make sure polio vaccines are provided to all these children. So over 5 days, more than 1 million vaccinators would be, who are trained by WHO and others, would go house to house to house, ask the parents whether there are children there under the age of 5, and when the children are there, they would give them the vaccine. It's 2 drops, very simple, and then they will take note that in this house there were 2 children, and they will take note. Or if the children are not there, they will put a sign saying children are in school, children are visiting, and then they will come back. Once they have the tally, they will come back to vaccinate those children. And India stopped polio by ensuring that more than 98% of these children were consistently vaccinated in every round.
And how many rounds in a year?
Around 9 to 10 rounds in a year. So you can imagine, it has generally been called the biggest mobilization of people during peacetime has been, polio campaigns in India. The biggest mobilization of people for one project over 5 days, literally, million vaccinators. Along with that, there are so many people supporting. And in many communities, we have social mobilizers who are, women and men from that street, from that community, who will encourage parents, please get your children protected. If you don't protect your child, then we are all at risk. The whole community is at risk. And if people have doubts or concerns, then they will go talk to their local Imam and get him engaged. So he will be leading the campaign in that particular street, in that particular village. So it was an effort that brought the community together in terms of the local imams, the different universities, Aligarh Muslim University and other big universities. It brought sports people, the Indian cricket team and others joining in. It brought some big, other political leaders and, movie stars, I think. Amitabh Bachchan was a big supporter of polio and with giving messages. So it really had to be a project where every aspect of the community had a role to play. And they understood if they did not play that role, they were going to affect children in the country. Their own children. Their own children, the risk of getting polio, risk of getting paralyzed would increase. So every aspect of society had to join and to say, this is something we can do. We have to do it for our children. And they joined up and had this strong commitment. And then they had this big machine. It's like a big military machine, but it was a machine which was so well trained and organized, but it was performing for a simple goal, which is make sure you get to 0. No cases of polio in the country. That was the whole goal, 0. In my office, I have, Naveed can attest to it, I have a big board with the big 0 and the date, January 13th, 2011. The last case of polio in India was January 13, 2011. And from that day onwards, there has been no cases. And we know this little girl who got the last case of polio in India, Ruksan Khatum in West Bengal. She was the last case in all of India, this little girl. And now we are supporting her, giving her education and so on. But that is the uniqueness of eradicating a disease, coming to 0. Yeah.
Inshallah, after the break, we will be discussing further. I will have Brother Saif Ahmed and Richard Swift to give their input also to this. And we will find out how intelligent and smart this polio disease is. इंशाल्लाह ब्रेक के बाद इसके ऊपर हमारी डिस्कशन होगी. साथ रहिएगा. आपसे जल्द वापस मुलाकात होती है. टेक केयर. अस्सलामु अलैकुम व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातहू.